PTCB, pharmacy. And that's all I can do. Sometimes I have time to read it, so I set a goal for an hour, but then I fall asleep. That's why I wanted to go to the audiologist, because I wanted to settle this once and for all. Hello, welcome to a brand new video. Since I did not do like a goals for 2023, I decided I would do like a recap after every month and just kind of make my adjustments from there. 6 goals that I have worked on. The first one is read 1 book a month, so that would be 12 books for the whole year. That's been my goal. I started a book in October and it was a lot longer than I was expecting, but life happens. Like, we moved, I started a new job, I've been working a ton of hours, and we've been settling into our new place, so it's been taking some time to just kind of sit down and read a book. And there are times where I just kind of force myself just to read 10 or 15 minutes, and that's all I can do. Sometimes I have time to read it, so I set a goal for an hour, but then I fall asleep. So there's that. But also with my new job, I'm back at Walgreens as a pharmacy tech, so I have to study for the PTCB certification test. And I know what that stands for is Pharmacy Board PTCB, Pharmacy Technician Certification Board. I don't take the class until March, but I am getting a head start. There's a certain percentage that goes towards the drugs, the type of drugs, the classification, what they're used for. There's a lot of math involved, and all that to say is I'll have to dedicate more time to studying for this test, because I really want to pass this test, versus reading a book. But I'm still going to focus on reading a book. Just take a few minutes, 10 minutes. If I can't one day, no big deal. That's fine. I've got a lot going on right now, and I can't just spend hours upon hours reading a book. But I'm not going to be hard on myself if I don't make that goal. It's just a goal that I'd like to set. The book that I have been reading is Jane in Love. It's by Rachel Givney, and it's a lot bigger than I was expecting. 400 pages. I thought it was going to be like 200. So I started this in October, and it's kind of a cute little spin-off from Jane Austen. So it's like a modern day version of Jane Austen, as if she were to fall in love. It's just starting to pick up the pace, and starting to like it a little bit more. Like, I won't give anything away, but it's starting to get good. So the next thing is to read the Bible in a year. So I'm behind, but that's okay. I'll have more time later in the year, but I mapped out what I should be finished by the end of January, and so I'm doing this chronologically from Genesis to Revelation. We'll see how it goes close to the end of the year, but that was one goal. Another one is, I mentioned that we were trying to be consistent with the Hallelujah diet. So that's been a goal of mine for 2023, is to be consistent with the Hallelujah diet. So the first time we did this together was in 2016, the summer before we got married, and I dropped weight like you wouldn't believe. I can't remember what I started at. I think I was like 165 when we started adopting that lifestyle, and then I don't know how much I weighed on our wedding day, but it was less than 155, because I was 155 on my last dress fitting, And on my wedding day, they had to pin my dress to my corset, so I was a lot smaller. So I was maybe, I don't know, closer to 148. That's my guess. So we were feeling great. We were active. We were eating mostly raw. So what it is it's following Genesis 1:29, and you eat raw fruits and vegetables. What is it? 20-80. So 80% raw, 20% cooked. And so, we tried it again in October. We tried it multiple other times, and it just didn't stick. And then we did it again in October, and it just fell right into place. It was so easy. It was just so easy. There was no trouble at all, no cravings for anything else. And then we moved. Moving makes things just difficult. We had the hardest move we've ever had, and we just were go and constantly on the move. And ever since then, we have not been able to get back on that train. I've been more focusing on produce, but we still have not been able to pick it up and stay on it, and I'm trying to do that. Just being consistent with that, and we were working on it. Another goal that I had was to go to the audiologist. And why this is so important to me is because when I was 16, I had gone through a series of different tests, and they had tested me for central auditory processing disorder. And what that is basically there's kind of like a disconnect between your brain and your ears. Another way to put it is that it's like your brain can't hear, like a delayed reaction to your brain. But if you have central auditory processing disorder, you have a learning disability. And so they treated me as if I had a learning disability. I went through these classes, I had therapy, and they showed me different ways to study, different ways to take tests. Well, showed me different ways to study, and that I don't need to have test anxiety, and it did relieve a lot of test anxiety. I get really bad test anxiety, bad. Ever since then, my mom and dad have told everyone that I have a learning disability, and as if I am mentally handicapped. I'm not mentally handicapped. So they just went on and on about how I have a learning disability. That was the first thing that they told Sam when they met him, was, yeah, Amy has a learning disability. And I think they told him, you might want to be careful. And he said, oh, okay, I don't know why they're telling me this. Finally got the paperwork myself, the results. And I read it as an adult and not like an adult telling me as a child. Like, I got to read it with adult eyes, and the result was there is a possibility that I could have central auditory processing disorder, but there was not enough data from the testing to come to that conclusion. Therefore, they cannot say that I have a learning disability. That's why I wanted to go to the audiologist, because I wanted to settle this once and for all. Do I have this? What can I do to circumnavigate different things like lists and what people are telling me to do, and just learning in general? I walked into the office truly believing that I had central auditory processing disorder and there was something different with me. And by the way, central auditory processing disorder is only diagnosed by an audiologist. So I walked in, he did the testing, and I think there were like 3 tests that were done. And the last one, I was going through this test and I was thinking, I for sure have central auditory processing disorder. I for sure have it. And he called me from that room, had me sit down, and I'm just like waiting for him to say it. And he said, everything is in normal range. You don't have central auditory processing disorder. I have done everything that I can for you. You don't have it. I don't know what else there is I can do for you. And I was just sitting there dumbfounded, like, did I just hear him right? And I was happy, but I was disappointed at the same time. But I remember asking myself, how come I'm disappointed? Why am I so disappointed in this outcome? And then, I'm processing it more, and I'm realizing I'm more relieved than anything, and I feel like I have a new outlook on life, and he just removed this big, wet, heavy blanket off of me. But that is part of the psychological abuse. My mom, fully believed that I had a learning disability. She heard what she wanted to hear and she just ran with it. And my dad just, I don't know what to say, but I was always treated as if I was stupid. And my mom would say things, before she would tell me something or ask me something, she would say, this isn't anything to do with your intelligence. It's just ask me. Don't say anything about my intelligence. And now I hear the audiologist say that my hearing is in normal range. Everything is in normal range. Now I know I don't have a learning disability. So that means I am smart. I just learn things differently. And I need to learn how to study in a way that works best for me. So kind of seeing myself in a different light and seeing this whole central auditory processing and learning disability situation a whole lot differently. But that was one thing that I wanted to do in January, and I did it, and I had to know, and I feel so relieved, and I've got a huge weight off my shoulders. It's just something that has bothered me for so long. I do not have a learning disability. This was part of my psychological abuse, that I am stupid and I can't amount to much, and kudos for getting a degree. I worked hard for that despite having a learning disability, which I do not in fact have one. It's just it is hard for me I am a slow learner, but I digress. It's just been a huge weight that's been lifted off my shoulders. Now that I've done the audiologist, my goal for February, now the next thing is to find a therapist. And it may not be in February, it may not be in March, it might not be until July, but that is at least at some point in this year. I would like to get the ball rolling on that. And I've looked into it a little bit, and I would like to find somebody who is a believer and who has experience with trauma abuse, because that's what I have gone through. It is trauma. So with fitness, that was the 6th one, and I was really vague with what I wanted to accomplish for 2023. I wanted to get below 160, which was extremely vague. I am 172 right now, and I don't have anything as far as like endurance or running or like nothing on a routine, none of that. So my goal, no, I have not gotten below 160. It's only been a month so far, but I have started working out, but I need to be more consistent with that. I've gotten the ball rolling. So my goal for February is to walk or run a mile every day. So the next goal for February, Hallelujah Diet, and just simplify it more. Yes, I am leaning more that direction, and I hope by the time that this video comes out that I am more consistent with it. But my goal for February is to focus on drinking more water and to meal prep. And that would be a way to keep us both on track, and is to make sure that he has something to eat and I have something to eat, and I have a plan in motion instead of just, yeah, I have produce in the fridge. It's more than that. I've got a plan. I mentioned before that my goal is to read one book a month, so I'm hoping to finish Jane in Love by the end of February, maybe start another book before the end of February, but we'll see where that goes. And then I would like to complete the first 5 books of the Bible by the end of February. If not, then maybe just focus on a half hour to an hour a day of reading my Bible by the end of February. So those are my goals, and that is how I've accomplished it, and that's how I've had to adjust it. If you have any goals for 2023, have any goals for January, I'd like to hear it. What are your plans? What do you want to accomplish, and what have you accomplished already? So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for listening to me rant about my goals for January and February and just where I want to move forward from there. So thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. So I have no kitty. Get down. Written, but chronologically. Hey, get down. Get down. But chronologically